Hello and welcome to hobby vlog number 104. Yep, it's been 2 years of weeks that I've been doing this vlog and I was planning on doing something quite special. However, this week has been absolutely crazy. Rosie was taken into hospital early in the week with pneumonia. She is recovering. We're really hoping that they'll be back tomorrow. That's Sunday as I release this, so today as this is being released. But we don't know, we're waiting on some test results and hopefully, fingers crossed, they'll be coming home tomorrow. But that's meant that this week has just not happened for me in terms of planning for this video. So it's going to be a normal vlog. But whatever. What I did want to say and bring this really strongly, firmly home is family is what comes first, obviously. So you never know what's going to happen. I mean, thankfully it was pneumonia and she has been fine and responded very well to treatment. But yeah, tell your loved ones you love them. Make sure you hold them close because yeah, you've got now. You don't know if you've got the next breath even. So yeah, that's my thing. A little bit serious, but yeah, family first. Always family first. I'm going to begin this vlog with what I said I was going to do, which is a walkthrough of my plans for outside room 13 through that door that's open there. Show you what the layout is looking like at the moment for Rosie and where my layout is going to go and why it's taking so long for me to get to it and why it will continue to take so long for me to get to it. So that's going to be the first segment, and then we'll go into what hobbying I've managed to get done this week, as I've tried to keep the week as normal as possible, trying to keep myself on an even keel while Angela and Rosie have been in hospital, and obviously I've been quite stressed and concerned. It's been a bit of an odd week. So thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoy it. Please do leave a comment below. I reply to them all and they mean the world to me. And the support from my little community that I've got here and on Instagram and on Discord has been just out of this world. It's meant everything to me and really been awesome. Those of you who have been particularly supportive know who you are, so thank you very much to all of you guys. It's been a weird week, but let's get on with it. And yeah, I will see you again at the end. So shaky cam. There is Rosie's model railway and how awesome it is. I'm so pleased with it. As we move across, you can see the double doors that go into the games room. We'll go in there in a second. And this area here piled up with, that's actually model railway stuff, and other assorted gum from junk, is where the first part of my larger model railway is going to be. And here comes Louise. Say hello, Louise. So through there, currently blocked off, is where the layout will run at least 2 lines through from this section into the games room. Now, of course, clearing this area won't take me very long, but if we go into the games room, you'll see why this is going to take a while. So here we are in the games room, and here is the rest of my storage stuff. We've got the winter railway that goes around the Christmas tree, and a whole pile of stuff that I have, old builds. You can see the White Tower over there, you can see various other things. There's Smaugs. Yeah, so this all needs to be resituated before I can even start to think about doing a model railway in here. And I'm in the process of doing that. I've started to get new shelves put up in here. I'm readjusting how I'm storing things. But a lot of this stuff is going to need to go up into the roof because that's the original plan, is that's the storage place. And this is basically temporary racking, waiting while I get the roof sorted. So let's go up into the roof and you can see the real reason why this is going to take so long. And here we are. So this is the roof. Now I have actually already spent several hours clearing, and this is a lot clearer and tidier than it was a couple of weeks ago, but I've got a load more work to do. Eventually the black racking that I've got in the games room will come up here and will go up somewhere around here, and all of my stuff will get stored out of the way up here. But you can see that we've not yet insulated the roof. We've not done the floor. It's a very kind of uncomfortable, stony, dusty horribleness. So there's a huge amount of work to do up here before I can start to move things out of the games room. There's my pile of insulation that I use for hobbying. It needs to be tidied. Packing materials that we use. Angela's an artist and will eventually hopefully be selling some art, so that'll be useful. Old chairs, I mean, it is just an absolute mess. Cardboard, which is what I'm currently working at clearing. So yeah, there's a lot to be done up here before I can start on the model railway main, but it will get there. This year we have made a bit of a beginning, not just in terms of tidying back there, but we have insulated and boarded the ceiling along this little corridor area here, which is the first part to be done. So what we need to do now is the floor, and then I can get, once this is done, then I can start to put the permanent storage in and then begin tidying the rest of it. I'm getting into a little bit of the renovation here, which isn't really the subject of this vlog, but whatever. So the idea is between these two poles you can see here, and then across to this pole here will be double doors in here, and this will be boxed off. So that far part over there will not be visible, and that will be my bit. This is going to be more living areas. So we've got a roof terrace out there, which is currently being retiled. I probably don't know if it's going to adjust. But yeah, so we've got a roof terrace out there that's going to be retiled, and this will be turned into a nice area for us to come up and sit and have guests and what have you, because it's a beautiful area. Obviously it's winter now, so we're not using it at the moment. And then once this is done, then I can start to tidy over there, like I've said. So that's why this is such a big job, and why my model railway, my main one, is going to be delayed so much. Long term, I would dearly love to have a layout that goes down between these two poles, these two supports, all the way around the bottom, around and all the way up the side. But we shall see. For now, it's a dumping ground that needs to be tidied, and that's one of the things that I do spend some of my time doing. Yeah, huge house means lots of mess. And the sand and the paint is still drying, so I can't really do flocking or anything like that yet. So what I've decided to do is come along and have a look at the cliff, which is dry, mainly. It's really rushing this. What I've got is I have my raw umber here, which is a lovely rich colour. And what I'm going to do first of all is come along with a relatively heavy dry brush. I don't want to be too over the top, and just kind of work in some of these deeper parts. Just put some patches on it. Go out and look at rocks. Rocks are all sorts of colours, and that's what I want to achieve here, is some really interesting kind of tonal variety. And we're going to go crazy with colours. I'll probably come back to this, but that's enough. I also have this really deep purple, which is also a great band. And so I'm going to make use of that. So, as you'll have seen in the past, I generally hold the paint I want to use in the lid of these tall bottles of paint, because then I'm not at risk of knocking over the main bottle, and there's always enough paint in the top of a lid for what I'm doing when I'm doing something like this. So there we are, some really nice kind of, it's not leopard spotting because I'm not doing it with very wet paint, but it ends up with the same effect. What I now have are some brighter colours. So we have a luminous orange and a luminous pink. So I'm going to need to have a different paintbrush to do those, because I'm not going to wash that purple one, because I might do the purple or the brown. But you really are going quite nuts in a sense as to how bright you can go with this. So let me just get another brush. It's a little bit of a big brush, but this is going to be very, very subtle because it's very bright, as you can see. But it really does add something. Don't worry, because I will be coming over with another all over dry brush just to bring all this together. But there we are. If someone said to you, put luminous orange on your cliff face, you'd probably look at them like they were nuts. But it adds so much. I really hope this is coming out well on the camera. There we are. Touch of luminous orange and a touch of luminous pink. And when I say luminous pink, I really do mean it. Look at that. So, again, don't want to go too heavy, but I also do want it to be visible That's maybe a bit too heavy there, but we can spread that out, and I can come in and sort that out with another dry brush over the top tomorrow. There we are. So we've got some really nice variation going on there now. As I say, might have gone a little bit too heavy on that purple, on that pink, sorry. So what I'll do is I'll come in again with some of this and just kind of tone it down a bit. There we are. Brilliant. Okay. So I'm going to let that dry now, because the final thing I'm going to do for this is this kind of a cafe latte, it's called. It's funny, I hadn't noticed that before. And I'm going to dry brush over all of that, and that's going to be the downward only, kind of trying to give it the impression of light striking, so really the really highlighty stuff. But yeah, pleased with that. So that's going to have to dry now overnight, I think. I'm not going to be able to do anything else to that until tomorrow now. And tomorrow's the last day I've got to build on it. So yeah, foliage day tomorrow. Right, it's time for foliage and other assorted greenery, which is quite exciting. So I think the first thing that I'm going to do is put down a layer of the flock just up here. I'm not going to put it down here because this is going to be the top of a tree line. So my idea is I might actually paint that black, and then I'm going to use a lot of this aquarium or fake plants to build up a very low level with maybe one or two outliers, mat of greenery down here. Up here, like I say, standard flock. Then I'll probably place the miniatures in place, and then I will start to build up the rest of the foliage. Now, one of the issues with doing it how I've done it, where it's just cut off, is it's a bit tough potentially to actually have foliage from the trees. But what I might do is just have some creepers dangling down. So I've got a whole load more material than you see here that I'm going to make use of. It's going to be a very, very varied build. I might just run the camera and just snip out what I can. It's a bit of an odd one, this, because it's going to just be throughout the day. I'm going to be adding bits and pieces, waiting for something to dry enough to work on it again. So it might be a bit jumpy, a bit skippy. I'll attempt to explain what I'm doing and point out any gotchas or any learned stuff. But basically, just going to build it up and make it jungly. That's the idea. So yeah, I'll run the camera as much as I can to get as much demonstration of what I'm doing as possible. But yeah, if I fail, I'm sorry. So I thought, actually, let's just go to shaky cam a bit and show you what materials I do have, because I think that'd be quite useful, because then you can identify what I'm using as the music is going and I'm actually making use of it. So what we've got here is fake plants. They're not actually aquarium plants, they are fake plants. And I've got some more here, and I do have others that are out of the room. This is just what I brought in, so I might go and get different ones. These ones are more stringy. I've got some bushier ones elsewhere. Then we've got some coconut fibre, coconut matting, just offcuts and what have you. I've got loads more of that as well, so that could be quite useful for building up structure. Then we have rubberized horsehair here, which is amazing. I love it for brambles. I'm going to use a lot of that. And we've got some stuff, some scrubby brushes, just pulled off the top of some sponges, which I save because I'm like that. This here, I believe, is used in plastering. It's like it's very coarse. It's really good. This was an amazing find. I made use of it extensively on my barrels at a Bond build, and it just looked brilliant on the trees, so I'll be making use of that. I've got the briar patches, which I bought for the model railway. I'll probably use some of those. This is, you can see the label, tree canopy, tree foliage sheets, which is just moss, bought from Luke, Geek Gaming. Over here we have my homemade flocks, and I have lots and lots of other flocks as well. And here, with the lid on, just bear with 1 second, it's a very good seal, so that made a lot of noise and wasn't that easy to open. This is Easter foliage, is what I've called it. So they had this for sale in a local hardware shop, and I went a bit nuts, bought quite a lot, and I barely tickled it with all the use I've got. But it's really good for creepers and for vines and what have you. So that is the materials which I have, which is all going to be stuck to this. So there's quite a lot of variety, as you can see. I have realised as well that I am going to need to do my dry brush of this cliff face, which is looking wonderful at the moment. I absolutely love that deep reddy brown. I'm really pleased with it. But anyway, so that will also be happening during this process. So yeah, there might even be more materials, but that's what I've got on my desk at the moment, with very little room to move. So let's just see how well that turns out, and yeah, let's have fun. This awesome print from Sean Connolly, over at Sean's Bits Box, has been sat under a weight being flattened for the past 2 weeks. For two reasons. One, I wanted it to be flat, and two, I have had a lot of other things on and I didn't want to start this until I thought I would be able to crack on with it. And so I've finished a couple of projects, and so now we're back to have a look at this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this to this mounting board. Now I've got a shelf under here at the moment. You can see this is the shelf that I'm going to use, and you can see that it is the perfect width, both the mounting board and the picture. So thank you very much, Sean, you've done that absolutely superbly, perfectly. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue the whole thing down onto this mounting board, and then when it's dry, which I'll leave it overnight, I can come along with some sharp scissors and can trim the edge off, maybe a knife, trim the top off, and then that'll be my display. So that'll be my height. So I'll be going up to that height. I am going to glue and weight this down in the games room on the big gaming table, so I don't have to move it. But I'll just be smearing PVA across the back of here, or maybe over on the cardboard actually, and then very carefully smoothing it down, and then putting my big weights, these ones, on top like that, so I can get a really good even pressure across. Yeah, can leave that overnight. So I'll put several of those across, and that will hold it down nicely and make sure it gets completely stuck. So yeah, very excited to get back to this. Been holding off obviously to receive the pictures, and then I did receive them and then I haven't even looked at them really because they've been weighted. But we're getting there now. Let's get this done. Let's get this diorama finished, and yeah, let's see how I work out how I'm actually going to mount the flying things. That's the biggest challenge. Well, that was a lot of fun painting those. Really easy, but they look great. So what I'm now about to do is base them up, and I'm going to make use of the base ready Mediterranean soil from Geek Gaming for these. So it's a very simple technique. I've got a video linked below which shows you how to do it. So yeah, that'll wrap up the painting and these, and now I can get a game in, which I'm very excited about. That was a lot of fun painting all those reliefs. It took a time, took a while, about 40-45 minutes total I think, something like that. But I'm really pleased with the results. They just pop very nicely. It's very subtle, it's not over the top, but they pop really nicely. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to start work on these top two sections. And as I've mentioned, I'm thinking about doing these with some glow in the dark. These are the Green Stuff World's glow in the dark pigments. The other day when I was doing my 20 minutes, I turned the lights out and these are sat glowing on the shelf, which actually reminded me they were there and prompted me to do this. So my thinking is that what I'm going to do is, and this is going to take some time, so I might not film all of it because it will just be very boring. But if we bring this a little bit closer, you can see this top section here is all the writing, and there's writing as well down here. What I'm thinking is I'm going to mix up the green pigment and attempt to paint inside the line. So rather than doing the relief, do the whatever it's called, do the down bit, the inside, and do that with the glow in the dark and have them glowing. And then my thought is to use yellow. I've got this reality yellow here, to paint up the relief of the tree and everything that's on the top. So we will have glow in the dark all the way around and on the letters, and then glow in the dark underneath where the goddess is actually going to sit. So that's my plans. First thing I'm going to do then is mix it up. So it is actually a pigment, so it is a powder. So what I have here is a dry palette, which I will use, and I'm going to use that section. And I've got a little kind of dippery thing, and the way that I've done this before, and I've no idea if I'm wrong, and if I am, then please one of you comment below and let me know, is I use medium to mix this into. Now I have also mixed it into paint in the past, so but I've always had a little bit of medium just to kind of help it to mix in properly. So I've got some glaze medium here, which I will just drop her in. Now I can see a potential that you might want to mix this with a mixing tool, as in put it into a bottle and actually mix it with like one of those shakers, but I don't own a shaker, so I'm having to do it this way. So I don't know if I'm wrong or right, but this is how I've done it in the past, and it's worked okay. So you're basically making up a paint using the medium. I'm going to make it a little bit more water liquid than that. Another couple of drops, there we are. Don't need too much though, as you've seen, but I do want it a little bit more than that. There we are. So with that mixed up, I'm now going to start painting these letters. And as I said, this will take some time. I'm not sure that I'm going to film it all, but I will try and get some of it on film. So I'll get myself moved around and get the camera pointed down, clean my brush. I've got myself an actual proper brush to do this, rather than the cheap one that I was using before, because it needs to go in quite fine detail. So I'll clean my brush, get myself set up, point the camera down, turn it on for a bit, and then probably just do the rest of it after this session without running the camera. And I'll do the same technique on the top as well. I'll bring you back next time you hear me on this project. That'll be done and we'll be looking at finishing it up, hopefully. So here we are with shaky cam. I have painted in all of the luminous or fluorescent even paint, and what I'm now going to do is, in a totally dark room, turn the lights out. And look at that. Isn't that epic? It's exactly what I wanted. You can even see that just in underneath here, it's not as great under there, it's more visible in real life. But yeah, you can see it's really, really worked well. So that is actually two different colours. It's green on the outer and yellow on the top, but it's completely and utterly, you can't tell that. So that's interesting. But it still does look great. It's exactly what I was looking for, frankly. So there we are. We have, oh, just like that. Readjust. We have our glowing floor. So now what I'm going to do is, the next thing to do is going to be to dress this, put the miniatures in place, put the other little bits of scatter terrain that I've got in place, and then we'll wrap it up. But that's going to happen tomorrow. I'm going to let this dry. I finished painting this a little while ago. I'm going to leave it overnight to dry. But yeah, technically that top one there is done with the yellow, and the surrounding is done with the green. You can see its difference when the light's on, but not when it's glowing, which is a bit of a shame. But hey, never mind. I'm very pleased with how this build is coming out. It's been a lot of fun and I've learned a lot. Now that obviously looked absolutely awesome in the dark, but looking at it in the daylight, I've realised that I really do need to touch up over the top. So what I'm doing is not a dry brush, more an overbrush with the green, just to try to take away some of where I've been a bit messy with my application of that glow in the dark paint. And I think you can probably see straight away that it's really bringing back the look in daylight. Now it may, this may be a seesaw effect, and I may be spoiling the effect in the dark, but just that very, very simple dry brush, it's probably coming out a bit better in real life. But now the relief is now more obvious than it was even a second ago. So I'm very much happier with that. So the next thing I'm going to do on this is going to be to glue the bits and pieces in, but I'll let that overbrush dry, and then I'll come back and do that a bit later on today. A bit busy today, so yeah, and that should be the build finished, which is really, really cool. And now we get to the final bit, which is sticking the characters in place. So what we've got is, we've got the supplicant and we've got the goddess, and here are just some scatter pieces that I've painted up from various places over time, and they've just been like on the side waiting to be used, and I think this is the time. So candelabra on both sides and some kind of like a assorted stuff. So I'm just going to use super glue on this, as I always do. So yeah, just a dab of super glue on the bottom of her feet,
and that will hold enough. It will allow me to readjust and move again, because it doesn't actually ever stick all that securely, but it certainly sticks securely enough to be a nice display piece. So there we are, she can go there. And so yeah, so I'll just get these all glued down and then let it to go off overnight, and then yeah, I've finished. I'm really pleased. It's a really cool looking diorama, making use of a couple of really nice models here and here, and a lot of fun with the with the roller and various other little techniques I've used as well. Just 3 dots of super glue on her there. There we are. I want actually to have in front of that. There we are. It's actually very tight. I very nearly screwed up this, because it's very tight. Actually, I need to put a little bit more. I need to super glue down her back foot. There we are. So I'll turn the camera off and get this glued, because this is a bit dull, isn't it? But yeah, that's basically what's going to happen. This is going to be stuck down, and I'll get some close-ups when I finish gluing. And so we will go with shaky cam to have a quick look. Pretty pleased with this. One of the things I was trying to do was line up so her eyes, her eye line, is looking at the supplicant, and you can see that that has worked, which is really cool. Of course, it's glow in the dark, though you've seen that, and I've got computers on, so I can't really show it now, but I will get some more pictures for the main build video to show that off. So that's going to be really cool. I'm very pleased actually with how this has turned out. It's been a really fun build, just taking 2 very different sculpts from different sculptors, and they just suddenly was like, hang on a minute, that looks really good. Now I've obviously got quite a lot of space, and so I might revisit this with some more stuff. I'm not sure. I have some ideas from the other things that might go on it, but this is certainly good enough now for the shelf. So I'm going to wrap that up now, and I may revisit it, but not anytime soon. Pretty pleased indeed with how it looks, and yeah, it came together quite nicely at the end. And here we are with shaky cam and the finished build, and wow, I mean, I'm just so pleased with it. I've absolutely no illusions that it'll win the little contest it's into, because the competition is fierce, but you never enter anything to win. You enter it to have fun, and you enter it to challenge yourself, and I certainly have challenged myself with this, and I feel like I've learned so much in terms of the paint job, which was great. I'm really pleased with it. But in terms of having fun with the base, I mean, I really went overboard on this, and I think it just does look absolutely brilliant. And I'm very pleased, and I've had some very nice comments about it as well, which is just wonderful. So thank you to everyone that did comment and say how much they liked it. So yeah, so that can go on the shelf now, and I will be able to appreciate that every time I walk past, which is why I do these things, because they're really cool little displays, and I've learned so much. Particularly like the rock. I think that's probably my favourite thing, that lovely reddy colour with those highlights that I put in to really bring out make it pop, and then it contrasts really nicely with the greens and then with the yellow trunks. I'm just really pleased with it. The more I look at it, the more I like it, and that's the best way. Well, then that's these all painted up. I'm pretty pleased with how they've turned out. Wasn't a very difficult paint job, and certainly something that anyone could achieve with just a little bit of time. I'm now going to try to get a game in, and hopefully do a series of videos playing through each of the levels, probably 1 video per level, and yeah, try to win. So that will be the next content that will come out that you'll see regarding this game, Conan the Cimmerian, a Kickstarter game I backed, and hopefully that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I played it on holiday, and I really enjoyed the first level that I played a couple of times just as a kind of learning game. So yeah, it's always nicer to play with painted miniatures, of course. So yeah, this is something that anyone can do, and I had a lot of fun doing it. As part of my 20 minutes, I've painted up these 3 Medusa type figures, and I'm really pleased with them, so I thought I'd just shoot a little bit of a clip about them. I finished the middle one first, I think. And then the other 2 I did together. So I printed out the first one. I had a failure printing the other 2. They've actually been a bit fiddly. I've broken them a few times and glued them back together.
They're only for display. I'm not going to use them for playing with. They're too delicate, which is one of the issues obviously with 3D printed models, but they've come out really nicely, and I'm really pleased with them. I made use of some colour shift paint as well on the snake skin, and that really does look nice. I mean, it's obviously not coming out all that well on camera, but it looks really nice in the real world. So yeah, just really fun painting job. Turned out perfectly, and they're going to look really nice in my collection box. And at some point I may do a display board for them, but I'm not sure. Not priority right now. But yeah, I'll pop a link to the file in the description below, so that you can, if you want to print them out yourself, you can. I think they were paid for. I don't think they were free, but they're definitely worth it. Only a couple of quid, so it's not a lot of money. But yeah, pretty pleased with how they've turned out. Particularly like the one going up the up the stairs. It's really cool. I might end up printing them out huge, but we shall see. Anyway, there we are. They might return to the channel at some point, but this is just a little bit of look. I did some painting. I have all these figures that I've painted up, printed out over a little while, that are going to go onto the layout. So we've got a bunch of sitting people here, and my idea for those is that they will be sitting on this here, and I might have to leave some off and make some more benches, but that's my idea. I've then got a juggler, a saxophonist, I've got a dancer here. So they will be going in this area over here where I've got, let me just move the camera up a little bit, so they'll be going in the centre, and around this kind of like area here. And then I've got some people who are playing, and I've got some kids and what have you, and they'll be just scattered around throughout the town. So I'm going to get that done now. I've got to separate them from the sticks, cut the bases off, and then glue them in place. So I'll get that done, and I'll bring you back in a few minutes. Won't take me very long, in a few minutes when they're all stuck in place, and show you what it looks like. Well, they're stuck in, and we're on shaky cam because they're a bit scattered around. So here we've got a girl or a woman carrying a baby. We've got quite a few people sat underneath there on the little bench. None of those are stuck down, so if I get some more benches I can move them. Up here is the miniature that I like to think of as Rosie, as it happens. Painted up a little blonde kid, so that's pretty cool. Got Louise barking, but she's going to have to wait because I want to finish filming this. Then over here we have the musicians. I've got someone playing a squeeze box and a saxophone, and we've got a nice Spanish dancer and a family watching, and a juggler, which is really cool. And last but not least, if you'll forgive me zooming round, let's zoom out so you can appreciate the scenery. What we've got here, Louise is getting a bit panicky at the back door, but what we've got here is a little boy who is cheering on the oncoming trains. You've got to have a train spotter on your model railway. I did this a week ago, and this week has just been so crazy I've not even looked at it. So I've absolutely no idea how it's come out. Whether it's done it right or not, we'll find out. Looks like I might have a few artefacts from having put those rusty old things on, which is a bit of a shame. That's a bit careless of me. But it has been left a good long time to dry. So I'll lift this off and just have a quick look. Yeah, that's pretty well stuck down. Good. Right, now, so the next thing that I'm going to need to do is cut this out down the edge of the cardboard only at this stage, and then stick this to the shelf. So stick this behind the shelf, and then I can start to work out the way I'm going to attach it. I might not do that. I might actually stick this now to some foam to give it a little bit more strength. I wanted it on the cardboard. It's going to be the first and easiest thing for me to stick it to, but I might actually do this to some foam now as well, just to and then I can glue that onto the shelf. But I'm not totally sure, as you can tell. So yeah, I'm going to think about it for a little bit more. I want this to be really right. I'm so pleased with this printout. Thank you again so much, Sean. You're a star. It's really beautiful. And then I can start building up the clouds, building up what the ground is going to look like at the bottom, and then attach all the pieces in place. It's going to look wicked, this. It's going to be such a cool diorama. So yeah, time to engage brain and work out how I'm going to do this next. Whether I am going to attach the shelf here or whether I'm going to glue it to some foam, cut the bottom off and then stick the foam to the XPS to the shelf. We'll see. I will bring you along when I've made my decision and when I come to the next step. I don't want to rush it, as I say. So yeah, I'm pleased that it seems to have glued on very nicely there. Had a couple of things delivered today, which is pretty cool. I am now no longer going to have to borrow Angela's one of these. I bought a shorter 52 centimetre long safety ruler, and that will now get extremely heavy use. These are absolutely superb and I cannot recommend them highly enough. They give such good control. They've got this kind of anti-slip thing on the bottom, really good, strong, sturdy construction, and you're just not going to cut yourself when you're using these because you can hold it right behind this big guard and draw your knife down. They're just brilliant. They really are very, very good. Highly recommend that. I'm pleased that I've got that. I've got multiple sizes of these now, going up to one that's like 2.5 meters long, which is for when I come to do model railway, the larger model railway stuff. You never know how big you need something a straight edge, so I bought that. I have so far been using a metre and a bit long one, but it's just a bit unwieldy at times. This is perfect. So this and the metre one are the two I'd recommend if you're going to buy them. Anyway, the other thing that arrived was this, Aeronautica Imperialis. So I saw a video by Zero. His channel is actually linked at the end of this video on one of the cards because he was my most recent recommendation Monday, and he did a really interesting unboxing and talk through this game, and so I thought, you know what, I'm going to get it because the miniatures look great, and he says that the gameplay is really easy and fun, and those are two things that are going to tick boxes for me. So this will be appearing on the channel at some point. I'll be doing the painting and trying to get some games in, and that will be obviously be on the channel when it gets there, but for now it will go into the backlog and I'll paint it up. I'm not sure when. I am very random in my painting order. I just paint what I want to, so it might be soon, it might not be, but we shall see. But it came very quickly, so yeah, excited about that one. Well, there we are. That's the video. I did a lot at the beginning of the week when we just thought that Rosie had a bit of a kind of stomach bug or something. Very little during the middle of the week, and then today, having found out that hopefully they're going to be back tomorrow, I've got back into it a little bit more, gone to a model railway and done those last few clips as well. So it has been a weird week, but yeah, she's pulling through. She'll be home tomorrow, I really hope. So yeah, fingers firmly crossed. Thank you very much if you managed to get this far. Really do appreciate you watching my videos. It really means a lot to me, and it always amazes me how many people do. So thank you. And yeah, I'll wrap up. And this has a lot of meaning to me this week, really does. Please do make sure that you do stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.